Thank you. I declare the special council meeting on Tuesday the 21st July 2026 open at 5:31 p.m. and would like to advise that the meeting is being live streamed and recorded in accordance with the council meeting's live streaming, recording and electronic attendance policy. Attendance at this meeting may involve the collection of personal information, including an individual's image, voice and any statements made. Recordings are made for the purpose of fulfilling legislative requirements, maintaining accurate records and enabling transparency in decision-making. Recordings may be published or made available to the public in accordance with the applicable legislation. Personal information is managed in accordance with the applicable privacy legislation and council privacy policy. By being present at this meeting, members of the public consent to the city's live streaming and recording, subsequently publishing their voice on the city's website. I would like to start tonight's meeting with some words kindly shared with me from George Wally, a local elder. People have been here for a long time. I want to acknowledge the presence of people over that long time, with firstly the Binjarab Noongar people who continue to have an ongoing connection to this land. They've been here for over 50,000 years. This place, Mandurah or Mandurah, acknowledges a beautiful name full of intent of people living here and others visiting here. That intent gives us an idea of the ancestral land usage over that long period. Mandurah, the gathering place, is unique because even today we still gather here in the most beautiful place for many important reasons. Let us embrace the notion of people being in this space as we move forward together as one community. Apologies for tonight's council meeting. Leave of absence. I've got Councillor Cumberworth. Are there any other apologies? Are there any elected members online tonight?
Yes, I'm online.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. And we also have an apology from Councillor Mulder for tonight's meeting. We now move to item 4, important notices. Members of the public are advised that any decision made at the meeting tonight can be revoked in accordance with the Local Government Act 1995. Therefore, members of the public should not rely on any decision until formal notification in writing by council has been received. Tonight we have an amendment to the standing orders. Council is requested to resolve to suspend the operation of the following provisions of the City of Mandurah Standing Orders Local Law 2016 for the duration of this meeting to ensure that Councillor Knight can follow and participate in the meeting as it processes. Standing Order 7.2, members to occupy own seats while present in the meeting room, relevant only for elected members attending the council chambers. Agree under Standing Orders 8.11 and 12.2 that instead of requiring a show of hands, a vote will be conducted by exception, by myself calling for all members against the motion. If no response is received, the motion will be declared carried and minuted accordingly. I would like to reiterate the requirement as per Standing Order 7.3 for members to advise myself when leaving or entering the meeting at any time. Can I please have a mover and a seconder? Mover, Deputy Mayor Smith. Seconder, Councillor Wilkins. Anyone voting against? I declare that carried. We now move into public question time. We'll move into public question time. Please ensure that your questions relate to the purpose of this special council meeting. If your question does not relate to the purpose of this special council meeting, there will be an opportunity to ask your questions at next week's ordinary council meeting on the 28th of July. Please note that this is an opportunity to ask questions only and no additional statements or arguments will be permitted. During public question time, members of the public are given the opportunity to ask a question of council. Council will allocate 15 minutes for public question time. Once this time has been exhausted, I may move the motion to extend public question time for a further 15 minutes. The City is committed to ensuring fair and equitable access to public question time. In accordance with council policy, each member of the public who wishes to ask a question may ask up to 3 questions. Public question time must be conducted in accordance with the City of Mandurah standing orders. Questions must not reflect adversely on the integrity of the City of Mandurah, including an elected member, city staff or other party. When called forward to ask your questions, please begin by stating your name. The City of Mandurah will attempt to provide an answer where this is not possible. Your question will be taken on notice and a written response will be provided to you once the necessary research has taken place. This response will then be recorded in the next council agenda. I now open public question time at 5:36 p.m. I've had no public questions taken on notice. Are there any members of the community that would like to ask a question? If there are no questions from the community today, I would now like to close public question time at 5:37 p.m. We now move into leave of absence requests. Are there any leave of absences? No. Presentations, deputations, declarations of interest, which there are one. CEO, would you like to share the declaration of interest for tonight's meeting?
Yes, Mayor. I've received one declaration of impartiality interest for the special council meeting agenda item for Councillor Daniel Wilkins, being the Mandurah Performing Arts Centre heating, ventilation and air conditioning, as he is the council's representative on the ManPAC board.
Thank you. Are there any other declarations of interest from elected members that have not been received? I'll be one moment. Yes, Director of Place and Community.
I'll declare an impartiality interest as I'm on the board as well, representing the city.
Thank you so much, Director. Thank you. We now move into questions from elected members. If there are any questions from elected members related to the item before us tonight, if there are questions that aren't related to tonight's item, I just remind you that you have the opportunity to ask them at next week's ordinary council meeting. As there are no questions that have been given on notice, are there any questions from elected members regarding tonight's agenda item? Okay. As there are none, we now move into reports. We now move to report 12.1, the Mandurah Performing Arts Centre heating, ventilation and air conditioning replacement and roof works project. You can see the officer's recommendation on the screen. Do I have a mover and a seconder for the officer's recommendation? Nobody wishes to move. Oh, Councillor Wilkins moves. Councillor Jackson would like to second. Councillor Wilkins, would you like to speak to the officer's recommendation?
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. Happy to support the officer's recommendation on these important works, and hopefully they're able to be done in the window of opportunity MPAC has. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilkins. Councillor Jackson, anything else you'd like to share?
Nothing further to add, thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jackson. Are there anyone wishing to speak against the officer's recommendation? Councillor Burns, would you like to speak against the officer's recommendation?
Question, if I may, to start with, please.
Yes, Councillor Burns.
Thank you. My first question is regarding clarification of recommendation 3. I can anticipate the question, but I want to ensure that I understand it fully. Just by way of clarification, if Council adopts the officer recommendation, will Council have the opportunity to approve or not approve the final tender award, or will Council simply be advised of the successful tender after the contract has already been awarded?
Thank you, Councillor Burns. I will refer that to the Director of Business Services.
Thank you for the question through the Chair. As per how the recommendation 3 is stated, if Council adopt this resolution, Council will have no ability to either accept or to decline to accept the tender, because you'll be delegating the decision to the CEO.
Thank you, Director. Further question, Councillor Burns?
Thank you. So my question, this one specifically relates to the proposed delegation of the final contract award to the CEO rather than the 2-stage procurement process or the recommended shortlist. So I appreciate that the report provides a broad explanation for the proposed delegation, referring to restrictive timeframes, program constraints and maintaining project schedule. However, given Council has been asked to delegate the final contract award, I was hoping to better understand the justification in a little more detail. Could the CEO expand on those reasons and explain why delegation is considered necessary in this instance, rather than Council considering Stage 2 recommendation at the next available Council meeting? In particular, what specific project milestone or consequences delegation intended to address?
Thank you, Councillor Burns. I will refer that to the Director of Built and Natural Environment.
Through the Mayor, specifically the most significant risk is around the lead time of basically being able to procure the plants and equipment. In looking at the regular schedule of council meetings and the opportunity to provide a report to the council meeting with the lead time that is expected for that plant and equipment, it would appear extremely unlikely that we would be able to meet the January-February shutdown, with preliminary works occurring through December and some supplementary works occurring through March, in order to deliver the project within that key timeline, and having the main theatre up and running and available for shows that are currently programmed by the Manpack in early March.
Thank you so much, Director. Yes, Councillor Schumacher? Councillor Burns, have you got a subsequent question?
I do, thank you, Chair. That level of detail I found in the report, I was chasing a little bit more detail. So, for example, has the city officers produced a project plan or schedule, and therefore there's a critical path on that? What specific items would you see at risk? And I suppose more objectively, how do you calculate the 4 to 6 weeks delay that's written in the report? Although there is some confusion because there was also talk about a 2-week delay for the council meeting cycle. So you've given a specific time frame. I want some more information about that line item or that critical path item.
Thank you, Councillor Burns. I'll refer that back to the Director of Built and Natural Environment.
Through the Mayor, so the critical path item around the lead time for acquiring the mechanical plant equipment, we are expecting that will be between 14 and 16 weeks minimum, so over a 3-month lead time. So looking at the availability of that plant to be available for January and February is a significant risk if we were to wait for the September council meeting. Part of that, I guess, risk evaluation has come through the first stage of the process, where we have tested with the market the contractors, the proponents' ability to meet the city's timelines, and that's certainly the feedback that has been provided. We had considered options, for example, around maybe acquiring the plant and equipment separate to the main contract, but then effectively the city wears the risk around that procurement and any issues that may arise through delay in terms of the procurement of those items. So weighing all those things up and the options that we had, that's effectively the programming risk that to award a contract at the September round of council meetings indicated that it was very unlikely in terms of our programming to be able to meet that January-February timeline. I mean, certainly we don't have it included in the report and haven't provided as an attachment, but obviously if elected members wanted further detail around preliminary program, we could provide that, but that wouldn't be available for tonight, I'm afraid.
Thank you so much, Director. Is this a subsequent question, or can I ask Councillor Schumacher for his... Yeah, Councillor Schumacher?
Thank you, through the Chair. My question is about the procedure getting up to this stage. It almost appears that we didn't start this early enough, and that now we're in a rush situation, and thus you're asking for delegation to the CEO. Could you summarise how we've got to this situation, and did we not start early enough?
Thank you, Councillor Schumacher. I'll refer that to the Director of Built and Natural Environment.
Well, certainly we have commenced the process in terms of design and procuring design services, going through what is a fairly detailed and complex design process, given the the amount of air handling units, and also basically some roof replacement works that have to be coincided. So I think fair to say city officers have done everything we can to expedite the process. We're now in July, and obviously we're not talking about construction commencing until early in the new calendar year. But it's certainly emerged that the risk is best mitigated through the delegation. And if I can say, we know this is unusual in terms of to seek the delegation, but it is reserved, I guess, in a particular purpose where the level of risk in going through the normal council process was probably not fully understood until we'd done the market testing. And that extended lead time of that 14 to 16 weeks is unusual, but because of the nature of the plant, it's not off the shelf type equipment. And that's what the market have advised when we've gone through the two-stage process. And that's why we're here tonight, I guess, seeking what is a little bit unusual, but in this case, from an officer perspective, an important delegation to be able to make our best effort in delivering that January-February work to match the Manpack shutdown. Thank you.
Director, can I just ask the implications if this work is not done and they aren't if the shutdown does go longer, what does it look like for the Performing Arts Centre if this isn't approved tonight?
Through the Mayor, the Manpack have already booked shows for early March. So effectively that means the cancellation of shows and some penalty and financial penalty for the council or cancellation of those shows. Obviously, the other key risk for the Manpack is around reputational risk, given that those shows have been booked and I believe tickets are being sold. So that's, I guess, the main risk in terms of through the early March, but then that if it's extended into sort of April and beyond, then that risk continues. So it is usual that there is a reduction in the amount of bookings through that sort of January, February sort of period, and certainly in consultation with the Manpack. That was their preference that is when the works are programmed. In the background, given the age of the infrastructure, we are trying to get this completed as soon as possible because there is actually an imminent risk that the plant and equipment could fail at any time, and that could actually result in major disruption. So we are trying to get this work completed as quickly as we possibly can, but also obviously trying to match in with the operational risks that the Manpack have advised city officers on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director. Councillor Schumacher.
Thank you, through the Chair. The question I did ask was, did we start this process too late, and thus we're now in a panic rush? Is that the case?
Thank you, Councillor Schumacher. Director of Built and Natural Environment.
Well, I genuinely don't believe we've started the process too late. I guess we have, I don't guess, certainly from a programming point of view, officers have prioritised the design services and obviously trying to meet the construction timelines. Overall, the design construction process is likely to take over 12 months. So certainly in terms of the timing, ideally another month or two where we are now would be preferable. The reality is the market has told us that's not available. So I don't believe we've started too late, but in terms of, I guess, meeting that deadline that we have been given, then this is the best opportunity to mitigate that risk and deliver this within the timelines that the MPAC or the Manpack have sought.
Thank you, Director. Any other questions from elected members? Yes, Councillor Burns.
Thank you, Chair. Again, going back to point 3 of the officer recommendation, what level of detail will council be provided? Would it be, in effect, the same level of detail that we would be given if we were to be making a decision? So I note that this says that we get to know the name of the successful tender and the contract value, but will, for example, assessment tables, so that we could at least, while you might have already awarded the contract, we could satisfy ourselves that due process was made, no mistakes have been made, even smaller ones. We could fulfil our role, at least retrospectively ensuring that the proper process was followed.
Thank you, Councillor Burns. I'll refer that to the Director of Business Services.
Thank you for the question and through the chair. The way the Resolution 3 was intended, we were recommending to provide to Council the same level of information that you receive when the CEO awards a typical tender under delegation. So that would be the presentation as provided by the Mandurah Financial Services, which states the local content, how many suppliers bid for the opportunity, who was awarded the work, and the value of that contract. That's what we were recommending. However, it would be up to the CEO. We can certainly, with CEO's approval and amendment to the resolution, we could provide the council in confidence a copy of the tender evaluation report, which does get presented to the tendering committee and also goes to the CEO for review and consideration. So that's something we certainly can provide elected members if they're seeking additional oversight of the process.
Thank you so much, Director. Yes, Councillor Zolani.
Thank you, Mayor. As I understand, we can call a special council meeting anytime. So why we are giving delegation to CEO?
Thank you, Councillor Zolani. I'll refer that to the CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Council can call a special council meeting once the tendering committee. It would be preferably within 24 hours, so there'd have to be a quorum of council elected members that would have to be available to ensure that the decision can be made quickly, which would also require a short turnaround in reading your agenda as well. So there would have to be a commitment by elected members to ensure we have a quorum, but also that you are prepared for the agenda. But that's certainly possible as well. That is an option.
Thank you very much, Councillor Zani. Councillor Wright.
Through the chair. So the maximum budget for this in the long-term financial plan was 4.89 million. The probable cost is 4.5. Are you likely to exceed that cost if we were to delegate, given we've already approved 4.89 million for this through the long-term financial plan?
Thank you, Councillor Wright.
Thank you. So if the budget is exceeded, that would have to come to council. Yes.
Thank you so much, CEO. Yes, Councillor Schumacher.
Thank you. Through the chair, just following on from Councillor Zolani, I'm more comfortable with special council meeting for us to do our job, which is our requirement, governance, financial side. Through the CEO, can we change this or do we have to foreshadow?
Thank you. So through the Mayor, my recommendation is that you would vote against it. So once the Mayor asks for someone to speak against the motion, you would speak against it and the foreshadowed motion. If you read the agenda in the conclusion section, we've already provided an alternate option if Council retain the delegation, so that it will just be straight into the foreshadowed motion if the officer's recommendation is unsuccessful.
Thank you.
Thank you, through the Mayor. I wish to speak against the recommendations that is in front of us and foreshadow the alternative recommendation. And it is purely and simply about the fact this is a lot of money and it is ultimately we're responsible for the governance and the financial spend. And it's no shadow on the CEO or anybody else in this organisation, but it is our role at this sort of dollar value to take responsibility for it, and I don't want to set a precedence, to be honest. So I will speak against it and foreshadow the alternative.
Thank you, Councillor Beth Schumacher. As the mover, would you like... Oh, is anyone else speaking for? Against? Anyone else speaking? No. If there's no one else speaking for, I now, Councillor Wilkins, would you like to close the debate?
Thank you, Mayor. As a board member, obviously look forward to these works happening, but as a customer of MPAC, I really look forward to these happening. If anyone sat in that theatre when the air conditioning hasn't been working, they would understand how uncomfortable it is. So, yeah, look forward to these works happening.
Thank you, Councillor Wilkins. I will now put to the vote any elected members voting against. Oh, sorry, we've got a question. It's too late, sorry, Deputy Ms. Smith. Is there anyone wishing to vote against the officer's recommendation? Councillor Knight.
I'm voting for the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. So, the elected members, if you're voting against the officer's recommendation, can you please raise your hand? I declare the officer's recommendation carried. And with no other items for tonight's council meeting, I would like to close the council meeting at 5:57 p.m. and thank everybody for their participation and for those that are watching online. And if you do have questions for council, please, we'll see you next week. Thank you.